Canada's capital city is Ottawa, in the province of Ontario, and combined with its nearby neighbor of Gatineau on the other side of the Ottawa River, and nearby towns, National Capital Region is home to nearly 1.5 million people. Its large growth can be attributed to its situation on three major rivers, but also to the city's early decision to build mass transit all over. OC Transpo, Ottawa's transit agency, built a revolutionary transitway network in the 1980s and 90s, and almost 30 years later, Ottawa's most used transitway was converted into an LRT, which paired with its older urban railway going in the opposite direction. This makes up Ottawa's network so far, but with extensions under construction as we speak, the network will look closer to this in around 2027. The network serves Ottawa decently, but there are several towns beyond the city proper that orbit Ottawa culturally, financially, and physically, like Castleman, Smiths Falls, and Arnprior. These towns, despite growing rapidly, are still not properly connected to Ottawa by transit. The dilemma is that towns are both too far away to be O-train or transitway stops, but are too close to not have public transit connecting them to Ottawa. Which is why the Moose Consortium, a group of 12 companies from all over Ottawa, have put together a private commuter rail plan for the NCR, composed of 3 lines across Gatineau and Ottawa, and it's called Letsgomoose. First, let's go over what the Moose Consortium is. 10 companies from across the National Capital Region have come together to create a commuter railway that's not funded by public subsidy, but will rather use the PPROMDM, or Property Powered Railway Open Market Development Model. Not only do I not understand what that means, we collectively don't get these charts, right? Right? Well, basically, the model Moose is using for this commuter rail project is imagining that each station is an enterprise that will return on Moose and its investors' investments. At least I think that's what they're going for. Someone help out and explain in the comments. One other thing to note about Moose is the legal action they've taken to preserve railways in Ottawa that would be crucial for their commuter rail service proposal. The project itself is called Letsgomoose, and it features this handsome cervidae as a mascot. But now, into the lines that Letsgomoose will be made of. The name I've given each of these routes are not official. They're just provisional names that I've given until we get an update on this project. Also, all of this is subject to change. Firstly, the Outaouais route, which is named after the Ottawa River it parallels, except for the fact that it's primarily in Quebec, so Outaouais is correct, so I'm told. Starting from Arnprior in Ontario, the Outaouais train will stop in the town of Kinburn, as well as March Road Station in Kanata North. The route will then skip Bell's Corners and Merivale stations on the Carp line and go straight to Greenboro Station on the Trillium line, as well as the 2 other commuter rail lines. I believe that a separate station will be built at Greenboro and a walkway will be provided between the 2. Audience laughs egregiously. The Outaouais line will then follow the Line 2 corridor to Bayview, stopping at Carleton. Now, there's no way Ottawa could run both commuter rail and light rail on the Trillium line without double tracking or even adding 2 pairs of tracks to the corridor. So I presume that it's either that or building a separate rail line along the Bayview corridor is Moose's plan for this segment of the network. But the current infrastructure along that corridor could definitely not sustain 2 commuter rail lines and 1 urban railroad. After Bayview Station, both of the lines I just mentioned will share a new constructed rail bridge across the Ottawa River into Quebec, and it's definitely not the Chief William Commanda Bridge. That has become a pedestrian bridge. Then, the Outaouais line will use the Quebec and Gatineau Railway to run to Montebello, stopping at the University of Quebec in Outaouais-Tache, Lac Limy, Les Promenades de Gatineau et Boulevard Grébert, and Boulevard Lorraine in Gatineau, and the towns of Masson, Versailles, Plaisance, Papineauville, and Montebello outside of Gatineau. Please don't kill me for butchering all of the French pronunciations. This is what service looks like on the line according to my map, and the bird's eye view map. The other east-west line proposed is the Carp line. Starting from Alexandria Via Rail Station, The line would serve Maxville and Castleman, the latter also having a Via Rail station, before stopping at Limoges, Var, and Navan. Limoges, Vars, and Navan. The Navan station confuses me, seeing how Navan is a far ways from the Via Rail mainline, but since that isn't indicated on the map Moose provided us, we can just presume that the line will stop at a station directly south of Navan. The line now enters Ottawa and connects to both the Confederation line and all Via Rail services at Tremblay/Ottawa. Continuing down the Via Rail main line, the Carp line will split from Via Rail at the junction just west of the Rideau River, and parallel the Outaouais line, this time stopping at Bell's Corners in Merivale. In my opinion, to connect to what is currently a BRT corridor and what will in the future be an O-train extension, the Merivale station should have been on Woodruff Avenue, especially if their destination is Algonquin College. But back to reality, the station will be located at Merivale. After Bell's Corners, the line will use what was once Canadian National's Beachburg subdivision, which I couldn't find a clear map for, to continue to Bristol in Quebec, stopping at Terry Fox Drive in Kanata North, and the communities of Fitzroy and Cuyon. Here's what it looks like on the Moose map. Finally, the Gatineau line. The Gatineau line will start in Wakefield, the town where Auto Route 5 ends. Trains will follow the Hull-Chelsea-Wakefield Railway, a now defunct line that used to serve heritage trains between Hull or Gatineau and Wakefield via Chelsea. There are segments of the line with tracks removed, especially the 20-kilometer stretch in Chelsea, but if the Letsgomoose plan was ever to be completed with the Gatineau line included, the tracks would have to be restored, or a new railway entirely would have to be built. If the restoration does happen, Moose trains would stop at Farm Point, Chelsea, and Freeman in Quebec, before crossing a new rail bridge over the Ottawa River into Ontario. Then, the trains will connect to the Red Line at Bayview and Carleton, as well as both other lines at Greenboro. After Greenboro, the Gatineau line will switch onto Via Rail Smiths Falls trackage, and will terminate at Smiths Falls, stopping at Barrhaven and Richmond first. Barrhaven Station probably means Fallowfield, but it could also be just west of Greenbank Road, close to Barrhaven Town Centre. So, from Smiths Falls to Wakefield, those are the Gatineau line stations. And that is Moose. 34 stations across 3 lines stretching 100 kilometers in total. 2 provinces, 2 cities, and a bunch of small towns. 4 stations are shared by Via Rail, and 4 stations are shared by free O-train routes. If you want to read more about this intricate proposal, go to letsgomoose.ca. A few questions are there in regards to fares and transfers. Will there be free transfer between OC Transpo and Letsgomoose? Probably, but I'd hope there at least be free transfer between the O-train and Letsgomoose. And will fares even be collected via turnstiles? Or will Moose use proof of payment? No comments on that, but no worry, because what is certain is that Moose will be using double-deck rolling stock.
And if you hear this on the gum, let your back, gum, let your knees, baby, ship it to the max. The DJ please send a
All the renderings and articles lead us to believe so, and I wouldn't be shocked if they use the same Bombardier bi-level coaches that Go Transit does. Finally, what would frequencies look like for Moose lines? My assumption is rush hour service into Ottawa in the morning and out in the evening. Of course, the network could be upgraded to all-day service if Ottawa sees fit, but currently the rush hour commuter model would likely work well for the city and its suburbs. Now for the fun part. When will this network be completed? My guess is that construction will start in 2040 and be finished in 2050. I wouldn't know, after all.
I'm 4 years old.
You are the youngest person ever.
So that's all I have regarding Letsgomoose. But what do you think about the proposal? Otherwise, have a nice day and stay documenting.